Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Moore.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Tell the Truth. You see this trolley car? Hey, don't go yet. See this trolley car? Hopefully, there are going to be a lot of them on the streets of New York before very long. We have with us today the designer of it, and we'll meet him as soon as we've said hello to our panel here on To Tell the Truth. And, of course, Kitty Carlisle.
Thank you.
Right-o. And Gene Rayburn. Peggy Cash. There you go, Peggy. And, of course, Bill Cullen. Bill, come back, Bill. Well, friend. Wait, fellas! Bill, where are you? Hey, go to commercial. We'll be right back.
That's with Side Shield.
Come back to the studio. Bill Cullen, where did you go with that thing?
Fisherman's Wharf. No, I didn't really go there. I'm here. We taped my trip to San Francisco. It was really fun. I enjoyed it.
I felt like I was being towed upstream. What did you do? Hold on to the microphone or what?
I was afraid to get off.
That was a wild opening. Holy moly. All right, let's get down to business. Let's meet the man who has brought back the trolley car.
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Dick McFadden.
Number two.
My name is Dick McFadden.
Number three.
My name is Dick McFadden.
All right, our job, of course, is to find out which of these three gentlemen is indeed Dick McFadden, and this is the way his story goes. I, Dick McFadden, am fascinated with trolley cars. I've always thought they were a marvelous way to get around. Currently, there is a chance to put trolleys to even greater use than ever before. I am presenting the trackless trolley you saw earlier to the city of New York because I feel that this form of transportation will help reduce chronic traffic congestion and cut down on air pollution as well. Never before have I had the opportunity to put my love of trolleys to such constructive use. So how about it, Mayor Lindsay? Let's get New York on the track by using the trolley that's off the track. Signed, Dick McFadden. And back with us this week, we're happy to say, is Gene Rayburn. Hey, there for Gene.
Thank you, Gary. Glad to be back. That's a beautiful piece of craftsmanship, that trolley. Mr. McFadden, number two, were the old trolleys made of oak the way this one is?
Yes, this is a red oak construction, and it's an exact replica of the trolleys of the days of yore.
And where would they have used something like this, number two?
Most of your larger cities, Los Angeles, San Francisco. San Francisco still uses the trolley.
Number three, Mr. McFadden, what powers this trolley?
This particular one is a Ford V8 321 cubic inch engine, gasoline engine.
Number one, if this has a gasoline engine in it, how would that not pollute the atmosphere?
We're working on a conversion principle right now. I will run it on bottled gas, and this would reduce it by about 90%.
Mm-hmm. And would this is an antique-looking one, number one. You'd have something that'd be a little bigger and more streamlined, I take it.
This one will carry 70 people.
70 people?
70. We seat 45, and we'll stand another 30 without any problem.
Number two.
Thank you, Gene. Let's go to Peggy.
Number three, which cities still use trolleys?
San Francisco and Toronto, about the only ones left.
Well,
And San Francisco is really a cable car, but it's another.
Well, number one, doesn't a true trolley have to attach to a wire at the top?
I would assume so, yes.
I mean, that's a real trolley.
Yes. This is known as a trackless trolley.
Yeah. Number two, doesn't Boston still have trolley cars?
No, they do not. They've eliminated the trolley system in Boston.
Oh, well, they look like trolleys. Number two, how many trolley cars do you own?
At the present time, we have about 50 throughout the United States, mostly in amusement areas, and we're presently making plans to manufacture another 50 to 100 for overseas delivery.
Number three, on days when they close the avenues in New York, like Saturdays, we have little trolleys that go up and down. Are those you call those trolleys?
Well, I'd call them minibuses. There's a sort of trade terminology enters in here. Trolley really has sort of a nostalgic overtone to it, I think, most people's mind, which is what we're trying to...
Okay, thanks, Peg. That takes us to Bill.
Mr. McFadden, it was stated originally that you have always been fascinated with trolley cars. I'll address this to number 2. Being a trolley car fan, or buff number 2, who was Elmer Ofterhide?
I've never heard of Elmer Ofterhide.
Elmer Ofterhide?
You've never heard of Elmer Ofterhide?
Never heard of him.
My Uncle Elmer was... Elmer Ofterhide was my uncle, and he was one of the most famous trolley car motormen in Pittsburgh.
Now I've heard of that.
That's
I remember.
Ofterhide.
Sure.
He was married to my Aunt Et.
Yeah.
She was the
Et.
conductor.
Yes.
Yes.
Now then,
Well.
no, number 3, 2 and 3, I don't have this answer from you. If yours isn't going to be powered by this internal combustion engine, which means nothing, if it's that way, it's not going to help pollution. Number 2, what's yours going to be powered by?
It's going to be powered by bottled gas.
Bottled gas.
This will
Number 3,
eliminate
what's, you going for bottled gas too?
Eventually, that's the plan, too. Of course, this one now is gasoline. Again, the pollution will, we hope, be solved by the elimination of all regular automotive traffic. That this will be kind of a period-piece transportation which will appeal to people. But there is a definite conversion which is planned for LPG, in fact.
Thank you, Bill. That takes us down to Kitty.
Thank you so much. Number 3, what is LPG?
Liquefied petroleum gas. It's another fuel that is very pollution-free.
Thank you. Number 2, how many people does the average city bus hold?
Roughly around 75 people.
And yours?
Ours will hold 70 comfortably, and we can put 75 in it.
Well, now, I don't understand the value in this bus business, number 1, because by the time you convert to bottled gas or whatever it's going to be, everybody else will have. You hold as many people as an ordinary city bus. You obviously are not going to make them all out of antique woods. What's the difference then between your trolley and a bus?
Well, number 1, we'll carry twice as many as a city bus. A city bus will carry about 32 to 35. And,
Is that all a city bus carries? Not when I get on at 5 o'clock on Madison Avenue. Oh, boy. Number 3, are your overseas buses all for amusement parks?
So far, that's where the orders have been, yes.
And number 2, when you do these things in the amusement parks, do they still have the gasoline engines?
Yes, at present they are still running on gasoline.
Number 1, where are they manufactured?
Lockport, New York.
And that does us in as far as
Lockport.
questioning time is, and we're going to have to make up our minds. Is it number 1, or do you think it's number 2? Or perhaps you prefer number 3. In any event, we pay $50 for each wrong vote. We pay $500 if none of the votes is correct. And Gene Rayburn, have you got yourself a little crayon?
Yeah, I finally found a crayon
Don't
here.
let Kitty intimidate.
And I voted.
Peggy intimidate you.
No.
Have you marked your ballot?
Yes, I have. They're very knowledgeable, Gary. They really know their stuff here, but I voted for number 2 because he really looks like he's off his trolley.
He's smiling now, and he'll slug you later. Peggy?
Well, I think a bus carries more than 35 people, number 1. And number 3 was tossing around 3 and was like LTG. That's to fool us. I think it's number 2. He looked nervous. The real ones are always nervous.
So it's 2 for 2. And what does Bill Cullen say?
Well, number 2 certainly did impress me as, you know, being a man, but I ain't voting for nobody who don't know Elmer Ofterhide. So I sent my vote over to number 3. He has my vote.
And Kitty
They were
Carlisle.
marvelous, all 3 of them. I know I'm wrong, but I voted for number 3 because he said that LP, whatever it was. Yeah, exactly. And to me, he looked nervous.
All right, so it's none for 1 and 2 for 2 and 2 for 3, and the votes are in. And will the real Dick McFadden please stand up? Hey there! What?
City buses carry more than 35 people.
Well, we'll argue that out with him, Kitty. I'll get back to him. What a great start for the week. Stump the panel on the first one. Let's find out about number 2. Number 2, you got 2 wrong votes. What's your real name, please, and what do you do?
My name is Tommy Burns. I was a member of the original New York Knickerbockers basketball team, and I am now a district manager for Bliss Exterminator Company in Fairfield County, Connecticut.
Nice to have you. And number 3, you got 2 wrong votes. What is your name, sir, and what do you do?
Buzz Merritt. I'm a director of Wings Over Africa, which is a non-profit Bush airline in East Africa operating as
It's a great outfit. Well, now we're going to have some bloodshed. Number one, Kitty seems to dispute your statement that the city buses only carry 35. Is that the figure that you mentioned?
That's the normal seating capacity in a city bus, as far as I'm concerned. We don't have buses, perhaps, in Buffalo as big as you have them here, but...
You're talking about Buffalo buses, not New York
Absolutely.
buses. Absolutely.
Oh,
That's a bus that's pulled by a buffalo.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, you say that you're going to present this city. Has the mayor as yet accepted it, or...
We are going to demonstrate it to him this week.
Uh-huh. Principally, you're in the amusement park business, really, aren't you?
Designing amusement parks and supplying amusement park equipment, correct.
Well, I would love to see that those trolleys going down Fifth Avenue on a Sunday. It would be a great idea. And thank you, Dick McFadden, and thank you, imposters, for being with us today on To Tell the Truth. Now, by way of introducing our next guest panel, watch the monitor. You're going to see some of the funniest film you've ever seen in your life. And you can start at any time, Paul. Keep your eye on big number 3.
Where, right here? Where? Here?
First time ever in professional.
Oh, stop! Ready?
Hold on, boys.
Set! Oh, darn it.
Now, that's a good picture of the violence of the professional world, or rather the world of professional football. And we'll meet the bruised player on the bottom of that pile as soon as we hear a few words from the manager out here.
Clip causing.
And now let's meet our professional football player.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Pat Palinkas.
Number 2.
My name is Pat Palinkas.
Number 3.
My name is Pat Palinkas.
And here is the amazing affidavit of Pat Palinkas as follows. I, Pat Palinkas, am the first woman ever to play professional men's football. Now, everyone knows this is a rugged man's game, but no one knows it better than I. In my first game, the very first time I got my hands on the ball, I was driven into the ground by a 235-pound linebacker. He admitted later he was trying to break my neck. And all I was trying to do was place the football on the ground so it could be kicked over the goalpost. You see, I'm not a runner or a passer. I have only one responsibility, to hold the ball on points after touchdowns. Although a lot of players don't relish the idea of a woman playing a man's game, my husband definitely approves. And that's fortunate. You see, he's the one who kicks the ball out of my hands. Signed, Pat Palinkas. And we'll start the questioning with that all-American ding-dong, Bill Cullen.
It was a great story. I don't, you know, a lot of people think that man should not have tackled you, and they were glad you weren't hurt. Well, I will say that I am glad you weren't hurt. But the first place, I think that was his job. No, number 1, what was that fellow's name?
Florence.
I beg pardon?
Wally Florence.
Right, and he made a statement after the game, number 3, about what he did. What was that statement?
He said he wanted to break my neck.
Yeah, did he say that?
Yes.
Number 2, it seems that when the equipment manager issued you the equipment for your first outfitting for the game, he included a few things you didn't know. Would you tell me about that, number 2?
Well, they call my suit the Papa Wagner suit.
Yeah.
It's a little bit smaller than the other football players wear.
I see. Number 1, was there one piece of equipment, without going into terms, was there one piece of equipment you were issued that you couldn't possibly use?
Yes.
There was one. Number 2. Huh? I didn't go any further than that. I didn't.
Dirty old man talking there.
I got to ask you, number 3. One piece of equipment they issued you, a legitimate piece of equipment, was too large. What was that, number 3?
My shoulder pads.
I see. Number 2, what team does your husband play for?
The Orlando Panthers.
Who's the local New York professional team? Not the National League, but the other. Here in New York, we have number 2.
The Jets.
Number 1, we have a team in the New York area that's not considered Major League Football. No, I don't mean any offense by that. What team is that?
I don't know.
Number 2.
Thank you, Bill. That takes us down to Kitty, Carolina.
Oh, Well, as it is well known, I'm an expert on football.
Indeed.
But this seems to be a rather unusual thing, and I'd like to ask a few questions. Number one, why did this gentleman want to break your neck?
Well, he said that we were making folly out of a man's game. That's what he said.
You were making what?
Folly out of a man's game.
I see. And number two, is this a usual thing in baseball, in football, that they have a lady who holds the ball for somebody to kick out of your head?
Mm-hmm.
It is?
Yes. Yes. Usually,
I thought so. Well,
usually elderly ladies.
Right, they don't have
elderly
to run.
ladies
Yes.
do it.
Dame May Whitty used to do it all the
Then
time.
they would. Number three, why did they all fall on top of you? Did you trip them? What happened?
No, Stephen, the kicker, was trying to cover up the ball, and they came at me instead.
And number one, are you the only lady on this team?
Yes, I'm the only lady in professional football.
Oh, you're the. Haven't we had other ladies in professional football?
Yeah, sure.
There have been women's semi-pro
I see,
teams.
but you're the only woman on this particular man's team. Hooray for you. I like it. You've liberated the team.
Good, Kitty. You can be substitute starting next week, and I hope you don't get in the game.
Why not?
Gene Rayburn?
Kitty, you've endeared yourself to every male sports fan in America. Number two, did anything unusual go on down at the bottom of that heap?
Well, the bottom felt like about 1,200 to 1,400 pounds on top.
And number three, were you issued anything in the way of clothing that the men weren't issued? Anything protective, I'm talking about.
No.
Oh, really? Yeah. Number one.
Ring the buzzer.
Women's lib, you know, you take your chances.
That's right. Number one, were you afraid?
Petrified.
Really? Number two, what did you say when you fumbled the ball? What were your exact words? Do you remember? Can you say them on television?
Yes, I can. I was wired for sound. I had to be kind of careful.
Yeah. And what did you say?
Oh, my God, I babbled.
You babbled?
Yeah.
What is babbled?
Not just...
All right, let's go.
Number two.
Let's go.
Number
to
two.
Vegas, guys,
What did your husband say when you bobbled the ball?
Are you all right, honey?
Oh, that was nice. Number three. When you really got decked, did you get hurt?
I'm sorry.
I mean, when they decked you, did you get hurt?
I got hit in the head, and that was all.
But you got up okay, nothing happened bad?
No.
Number one, what's the name of the team that you were playing in Fairfield, Connecticut?
Oh, the Bridgeport Jets.
Thank you. Number two, what league is the Westchester, the Bulls? What league are the Bulls in?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Thank you. Number three, you get paid?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, by the game?
Yes, by the game.
Thank you. Number one, are they going to keep you on the team?
Yes.
They are. Mm-hmm. Number two, aren't you scared a little?
Okay, that's all the time we have for questions. We must now make up our mind, and Kitty, heaven knows what you're going to do, but everybody else, mark your ballots without consulting amongst yourself. You mark them for one, or you mark them for two, or you mark them for three. $50 is the penalty for a wrong vote. $500 if we get thrown for a total loss. Bill Cullen, have you made up your mind?
Yeah, all the girls had all the right information. A few of them didn't know about the Long Island Bulls and you know, some of our pro teams around here, but I don't think that's important. Anyway, it was a toss-up, and I tossed up number one, and 11 guys fell on it.
There you go. So it's 1 for 1, and what does Kitty think?
Well, I voted for number three because she's feminine and charming and liberated a whole football team.
So there you go. It's 1 for 1 and 1 for 3. And Gene, are you going to go with 1 or 3 or what?
Three. I voted for number three because she's the girl I'd most like to tackle.
All right, Peggy.
Well, I voted for number three, partly because I think she could play football. Look, she's got her hair, it goes right under the helmet.
All right. How about you at home? Have you made up your minds? Let's find out about it. Will the real Pat Palinkas please stand up? There you go. Pat, we'll get back to you in a half a second. Let's find out about number one. Number one, what is your real name, please, and what do you do?
My name is Pamela Barnes, and I'm unemployed.
That's even harder work than football. Number 2, what is your real name, please, and what do you do?
My name is Pat Kelly, and I'm with Dunwoody Public Relations in New York.
Nice to have you. Actually, Pat, you've turned out to be a big drawing card, haven't you, with your team?
You certainly have, right.
And explain to our audience how you happened to get into this position.
Well, it started out very innocently where I was just helping my husband hold the ball, and the Orlando Panthers, the Atlantic Coast Football League, Coach Massey called up and said, you know, Stephen called up and said, I'm going to try out for the team. And he said, may I bring my holder? And he said, sure, bring him along. And he said, it's a she. And so I went and I signed a contract, and I'm playing pro ball now.
Well, there's more of the film that we want to show you because actually she did hold successfully for 2 subsequent points. And we have that film. And Paul, let's see if we can show her really doing it. Watch.
Hold it, boys.
And you know, you asked what she said when she bobbled the ball, and I'm sorry we didn't have that piece of film. When I first saw this at home, and I was watching, it was CBS Evening News when I saw this thing, what she said when she dropped the ball, just like a little girl, 3 years old, she said, oh, I dropped it. And she ran off the field stamping her feet. And it was the funniest film I've ever seen. Pat, you're a brave lady. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, imposters, for being here on To Tell the Truth.
Great line, followed by The Price is Right and the $100,000 pyramid.
Promotional consideration provided by American Airlines. Traveling on business or traveling for fun, it's good to know you're on American Airlines. Johnny Olson speaking for To Tell the Truth, the Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.
The truth can be found in black and white with Bud Collyer. Don't miss the original To Tell the Truth, Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific.
Network, anyone can